The biggest stupidity of this episode was Ashley again acting like Derek's widow. Like, what are we doing? I complained about this yesterday. I don't have the energy to do it again. But the show writing Ashley like they were this happy married couple when really she didn't want to marry him and she was his biggest hater. What is up, fellow Beyond the Gates viewers? Here to talk about today's Thursday episode. A very special send-off to old Derek today. That was definitely the main part of today's episode. You wouldn't know it that this was, the black soap opera, that this was supposed to change the landscapes of soap operas, being a big old diverse show. But if you compare the send-off for Doug to the send-off for Derek, it's like night and day, to say the least, because I do feel like we've gotten, 4 episodes now of mourning of Derek, and I do think they did a really good job in the send-off of Derek today, like at least with the whole fireman aspect of his death and how he used to be a fireman and that his friends were there. They also have given us Jacob slowly grieving. I feel like, I guess that was the direction they chose to go for Jacob. I don't know if it will lead to a bigger story of Naomi needing to help him with his mental health. But we saw as the episode went along, Jacob slowly kind of having some emotion. But let me just go through my notes. It's going to be a quick one today. I honestly do not have a lot to talk about with today's episode. If you're a big fan of Derek, maybe you enjoyed it, or not, because he's dead. But Derek's firefighter friends were there, like I said. Jen was there too. Jen says it breaks her heart that Derek's dad is not there. Ashley mentioned how Derek's dad is blaming Jacob still, and that's why he's not there. But Ashley could have done a way better job in yesterday's episode of clearing that up to Derek's father, but she chose not to. Isaiah was there with Jacob too, and Jacob and Trash got into it a little bit about Joey because he's not completely certain that Joey wasn't involved with the Impaler stuff. Jacob saying to tell Joey that he will bring down everyone involved. This was after Vanessa was, of course, praising Joey for the free clinic in her ex-husband's name. Typical bullshit from Vanessa. Eva arrived, had a little moment with Andre to talk about Derek, and then Eva was there to be by Isaiah's side. Then, of course, Andre went to go hug Ashley, saying he wouldn't miss it for anything. There's a lot of people worried that they're going to go the Andre and Ashley direction again. And with the direction this writing has gone on the show, I could understand the fear that the writers would try and be so stupid as to try and put Andre and Ashley back together. It's possible. I do feel like that is one of the things the writers actually did learn, though, is that people didn't like those two together. The biggest stupidity of this episode was Ashley again acting like Derek's widow. Like, what are we doing? I complained about this yesterday. I don't have the energy to do it again. But the show writing Ashley like they were this happy married couple when really she didn't want to marry him. And she was his biggest hater, as I said in the watch along today. Ashley was Derek's biggest hater. So for us to now try and sit here and be like, wow, this is so sad, I really feel for Ashley. That's not what we saw with our own eyes. So her basically being the host of this funeral was stupid. I liked Shanice's little speech, even though I didn't necessarily agree with it, that Derek was this world-class flirt. I think the best part of the funeral is that they included Derek's fireman friends and that they brought a flag that they were going to give to Derek's father, but he's not there, so they gave it to Ashley instead. Jacob then finally gave his speech at the end. And then Jacob was later listening to people talk about Derek at the funeral, mostly Ashley. And that's when we actually saw more of Jacob's emotions come out. The actor that plays Jacob gets a lot of crap, most of it deserved, especially after his accent as Rashad for months. But I do think he tried his best to give some understated emotions today. that's about all I could say about the funeral. One of the better things today, basically the only watchable thing today, was Dani and Bill getting into it about Mike. Now, I don't know why this conversation happened now, as a lot of people were saying in the chat today. Why is this happening now? Why didn't this happen last year? But yeah, they got into this big argument over Mike and how Mike used to give her the creeps and stare at her up and down, and she never told Bill because Dani didn't think Bill was going to do anything about it. Dani says that Bill didn't protect female employees about Mike's comments, and that Bill knew that Mike used to get with the women, although Bill said that he always thought it was consensual. Dani called him out, saying that Bill thought it was consensual, like all of Bill's flings at the firm were consensual. Dani read Bill today, so that was definitely the highlight. Dani says that Bill used to hang her out to dry, never really protected her. She was going in on Bill. It seemed long overdue, and once again, odd timing for this conversation. Bill was going on about how he does care about his loved ones, and Dani brought up how Caroline used to cover for him with his affairs, and that Caroline was protecting Bill. Bill says that Caroline wasn't protecting Bill, but Dani says, well, she was protecting her job because Bill was the boss. Then it kind of devolved with Bill almost sticking up for Mike, saying that Mike is not as bad as other criminals, and that last year when the whole Mike thing was happening, Bill was trying to not believe the women, but now Bill is saying, well, he did hire the women back. And Dani said, well, it still made a statement that Bill's firm was like the good old boys club. So as entertained as I was by Dani reading Bill, very random to have this topic for these two right now, I will say. But Dani did conclude the conversation saying that Bill never really had the respect for her, but she's in that marriage with Andre now where there is respect. So once again, we get it that Dani and Andre are just so happy. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop on that marriage because the drama has to be there eventually. With as slow as this show moves, I don't know when that might be. I mean, this show is also having us pretend like they care and that we care about Chelsea and Madison's wedding. That's not until May of next year. It's a year away, and they're hyping that up now, which is crazy to me. We did get a little bit of Chelsea and Madison today, and how Madison wants to invite her mother to the wedding, even though they're going through so much turmoil right now and not getting along. Does that mean we have to wait a year to see Madison's mom? A year after the fact, when all of these storylines for Madison are taking place off screen? That's possible. And then the only other thing on today was Nicole and Ted, where Ted came into her office all happy-go-lucky, congratulating her on helping Samantha win the cotillion. They talked about Nathan and Chelsea and all that drama at the cotillion and how Nathan was actually the guy that Samantha got grounded over. Ted did not know that information because he's not a good dad or grandfather, I guess. And then Ted wanted to talk about the chief of staff with Nicole, where he thinks that they should promote from within the hospital when they crown a new chief of staff. And he tells her that he pitched Nicole to the board, which Nicole was very upset about, saying that she actively resists that position. I was saying in the watch along today that Ted really tries to be manipulative with Nicole. This is like the second or third time that I can remember Ted trying to look good to Nicole publicly, like he's always going to bat for her. If you remember, Ted once tried to stop Leslie from building the house next to Anita and Vernon, and then he wanted public credit for that because he thought it was going to impress Nicole, and it didn't. That's what I get from Ted with these kind of conversations with Nicole. But unfortunately for Ted, he is too big of a fool and a clown to actually ever impress Nicole. Even though, Nicole is still having these fantasies about him. I don't know why when he's such a clown, but she is. Kyle interrupted and Ted left, and she ranted to Kyle about how Ted's trying to make her chief of staff. Kyle brought up the point that Ted is probably trying to do it because he's on the board, and the board works closely with the chief of staff, so that means Nicole will be closer in his orbit again. And they're just continuing Nicole's love life like it's the most riveting thing. Nicole then talked about this patient who was in a cult and thought other people trying to help him were the devil. As we also talked about today in the watch along, wouldn't this have been more interesting to see a scene with this character that supposedly was in a cult talking to Nicole? We could actually see Nicole doing her job. But no, instead we have to watch Ashley cry 4 episodes almost in a row. 4 out of the last 5 episodes have revolved around Ashley mourning Derek like she's his widow when she was his hater. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a break from Ashley tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow will not be a filler Friday. I suspect the worst, but I'm hoping for the best. I don't know how I can still have that hope with how bad the writing has gone on this show, but I still try.